Guys, all right then. All right, we're back. Welcome to another episode of Creative Always Be. This episode is called Creative Always Be, creating experience for users through website and apps. Corey Solomon, a local UI UX designer, create user interface and user experience through apps and website he has developed. Just think about an app or a website you see on your iPhone and you get a sense of what he does. How the buttons move, how the animation sounds when you click it. The entire experience is created by a UI UX designer. We are glad to have Corey on the show to get a deeper understanding of how UI and UX help users. Let's check out some of his work so we can get a sense of the work that he has done before why he is a UI UX designer. So this year is basically some work that he has worked on before. So we're gonna slide through it and kind of get a sense of his work. So right here, you're looking at a mobile app for NCB. We're looking at a website for Flow. We're looking at a website for Kingston College. We're looking at this. This seemed like a mobile banking website or platform. Well, it seemed to work on your phone and on your tablet and stuff like that. This is a website for JPS, Mayberry Investment website. Another NCB interactive website, bank slash sub. This is basically a website, but in today's day, websites are very responsive in terms of how they design. So it works for both mobile. It works on all the basically platforms. This is print design stuff he has done for print, branding campaign, outdoor design, so billboard and stuff like that. Branding campaign, logo design, social media design, and that's basically his portfolio, so to speak, the stuff he has done. I saw some familiar work. I never know that he did it. But we're gonna bring him in right away and then get the conversation started. Whereas we kind of try and find out how he got started and stuff like that. So, welcome, Corey. Wagwan, brother.
Well on, Shango. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, man, we're there. You know what I mean? And as usual, it's always a pleasure to have guests on the show and you know what I mean, fellow creatives, so we can, you know what I mean, give a sense of, you know what I mean, how the creative got started and why they choose this journey and stuff like that. So normally the first question I ask a creative once I get them on the show is, how did you get started as a designer overall, and then now moving into more UI UX design?
Cool. Firstly, I have to say, thanks for having me on your show. It really is a pleasure. Um, and hello to all your viewers. I hope that you learned something insightful from what I'm about to say. So, how is it that I got started as a designer? Well, from I went to Edna Manley College. I can start off there. Edna Manley College is pretty much the catalyst where that opened up my eyes to design on a whole, visual arts. Um, I remember at an early age, I I was pretty much watching entertainment report with my mom and dad, and Anthony Miller at the time. He review art and stuff. So he um he had uh he had went to an Edamame final year show. This is when I was probably like 8, 9, and he showed an artwork, and the artwork was a naked woman, and I'm like, "Mommy, you can show that on TV," and and I was blown up. My mind was pretty much blown because I didn't know that you can show them kind of thing on TV. And she was like, "Yes, it's artwork." And I said, "Wow!" And then immediately then and there, I left the living room and went inside my room, and I started to draw. And I immediately tried to replicate what I saw. That was my opening to to art on a whole. And then as it relates to design, I went to Edna Manley for 4 years. I did my bachelor's in fine arts, in visual arts, and uh, and that pretty much opened up this world of design, where I looked on design as not just something that is visual, but something that is able to communicate with viewers.
Okay, so how you basically see design is the communication aspect of design. It's not just some text on a screen or some pretty colors, as most person would say when it comes to design. It's just some color. No, that's flash and that's something. You just have to put some colors. They don't understand that there's psychology behind design. There's so much meaning behind the colors that you use. There's so much meaning behind the spacing that you use.
Yeah,
Negative space is so important as a designer, and a lot of persons don't understand this from the layman
yeah.
perspective. So, how do you explain to a non-designer your purpose or your art when you are doing a design and they don't necessarily understand it?
Okay, and I'm assuming that you're speaking more so to my the digital designs that I do now, which is in the field of UI UX design.
Yes. Remora speak about
Uh,
UI UX design.
all right. So, well, I can start off by saying UI UX is user interface, user experience. So it's something that we all interact with daily, as it from something as simple as how we interact with a door. If it's a case where you see the word push or pull, because there are times when um, you know we interact with again this door, and you don't know how to approach it, whether you push, pull, slide, or and that them kind of thing that sort of irk people at times. So and personally, I look on that as bad user experience design. User interface, let me just start off there, is the communication, the visual communication in with whether it be icons, text, or imagery that will communicate what exactly the experience that you're going through. And user experience is more along the lines of how you interact with a space, whether it be a digital space or a physical space. So we think about in my field, you think about things like say user journey, how you move from one step to the other, or to the end. Like say for example, if it is a case where you want KFC, today is Friday night, and most people would want KFC. Well, regular Jamaican people would want KFC for dinner. With COVID, being a major factor right now, how is it that we can um, digitize that process? And you think about from the user experience perspective, how a user would want to experience this process. You jump on your phone, you touch on an app. What would you want to see? The menu right away clearly, and how much it costs, and how is it that it's going to get to you from so we as user experience, user interface designers, we take all those things into perspective.
Okay. So
Mhm.
it's, as I say, UI, which is user
User
interface,
interface, yeah.
is basically how a person, let's say like a push and a pull sign. That is the interface. A person see
That's the
that,
interface. Yeah.
but the experience now is how the person interacts with the door.
Yeah, with the door, yeah,
So when
because
they go to the
and
door,
again,
If the door slides, that's an experience.
Yes.
So even though the doors say it's a push or pull door, if you go to the door and somebody pull the door for you, that is actually an experience.
Yes. All right. So think about it this way. You are in user experience. Simple, basic aspect of it is you say you want to go to um, an aisle in the supermarket. The UI is when you walk into that supermarket, you look up and you see the information to what aisle it is that the specific product it is that you want. The user experience
Okay,
is
okay.
you actually navigating through this environment to get your end goal. Yeah, to get
Okay, okay.
your
Yeah,
end goal.
yeah, yeah. I understand. I understand. Even the other day, I speak to one of my creative friend about that. If there is possible a way where an app can just use NFC or any one of them thing there. So once you go in the supermarket, you just tell the app where you want, and then the app just tell you
Mhm.
all the aisles where you can just find the stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Oh, that would be pretty cool.
you know what I mean? And why it was important to get you on the show to speak about UI and user interfaces, that we interact with these things every day, unbeknownst to some of us, but we interact with these things every day, and everybody have a mobile phone right now. Everybody
Hmm.
uses websites, so to speak, on some level, and we are interacting with these things, but we are not understanding how these things impact our life. And we always use iPhone, the first iPhone. Steve Jobs come on the stage with the first iPhone and show it and say, all right, no longer do you need an iPhone. No longer you need a phone, iPad, and a couple other things. You just have this one device. We
Yeah.
have an
Hmm.
iPad in it, a phone, and you can basically surf the internet and
Yeah.
blow basically the game open. Like, I mean, blow people mind, literally.
Yes.
And
So,
Apple is
so
big on UI and basically UX.
user
Let's speak about
experience. Yeah.
that from the Apple standpoint.
All right. So the most important thing what you just said, and I've said it as well. You know, UI and UX, the user interface, user experience. The most important thing in our field is our user. If we can't design in a bubble, pretty much. So if we design for our users, we're halfway there in creating a proper solution. In the case of say Steve Jobs and creating the solution for the iPhone, um, he took into consideration what it is that people want, and that's the only way you can create a good solution. You can't just design in the dark and hope that people are going to take to it, because you know that's a very old fashioned way of looking on things. Um, Once you start designing for people, you will you're already, as I said, there. Um, in the case, yeah. So Steve Jobs, um, well, I should start off there. So even though Steve Jobs is the one who is the
Yeah, man.
front
He's
the
the
front
front
man.
runner. We know that he's not the
Yeah.
person who designed the interface itself.
Yeah,
But he's the front runner. People now want to refer to Steve Jobs because he's the face of Apple, and he
the
has
face of
fame,
Apple.
charisma and persona. But he's not
But the
the back end, so to speak. So we always refer to
yeah, the
Steve Jobs, but you
actual
talk about Mr. Wozniak, you talk about others
yeah.
of people them at Apple. So we know, but Steve
Yes,
Jobs is really the front runner, so we tend to refer to him because it's just
you
easier
refer
when you
to
say
him,
Apple
yeah.
Steve Jobs.
So Don Norman is actually the person who is responsible for the term user experience and user interface design. Um, and pretty much what you do, what he coined is, well, technically not really him, but over time it was, I guess the whole concept of design thinking is what split between Don Norman and design B school and such. So what design thinking is an iterative process where after you create a product, and as you pointed out, Apple is very good for that. You create a product and over time better it. Um, yeah, design thinking is pretty much the same thing. That's what I pretty much live by as it relates to my 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 field. And design thinking is pretty much the process is you have to empathize with the users. And then after you empathize, you have to define the problem. And after defining the problem, you start ideating. And then I'll go through all of these in detail. And after ideation, you come up with like a prototype, which is a test design of the product or service that you're trying to design, and then you test it to see if it works. So it is a non-linear process. Even though it sounds linear, you understand what it is that people want by stepping in their shoes and taking into consideration the pain points that they would have had. And then you say, all right, fine, this is the issue, and then you come up with an idea. That is the ideation process. And then you prototype it and stuff. So one of the I guess it was really just a fun project because I didn't really go anywhere with it. But one of the things that I am aware that is an issue for most Jamaicans who are traveling using public transport is just understanding when your bus come in, and how you're gonna get there. So if it and I remember what I did was I created like a prototype of a JUTC app. Again, I never really did much with it. I just did it just for testing purposes or just design exercise.
Yeah, man. Research and development.
Yeah.
R&D.
So
Very
R&D.
important.
Yeah. So I understood first. I used to take the bus, so I understand the struggle. So I empathize with all those people who interact with the JUTC buses and the system, and then I define the problem. I said, how is it that I can create a solution? And the solution pretty much is create a mobile app that has that identifies where these buses are at the moment. So yes, you're at the transport center, but when how long is it going to take for this bus to get to you? And you look and you just say, all right, 15 minutes. All right, cool. So you can go buy your food and come back and get your bus. And the interaction that I created was a very seamless one because everybody have their mobile devices in their pockets, in their hands. And if it is a case where you want to move from one space to another, all you need to do now is just back out your phone and interact with this device that will communicate everything that you need to know right away. Yes, so it really is focused on the user. At the end of the day, it really is the user, because if you design something that you feel like everybody wants, it may not reach anywhere, as opposed to you identifying this problem, this core problem. So boy, you seeing this recurring problem over and over, you could create a solution.
So what I'm hearing from you is very similar to what they do in marketing and business. In other words, you're saying that you create, so to speak, an avatar, and then you understand their pain point. So the avatar pain point will take bus to school, or to basically go anywhere, is that they don't understand when the bus are coming.
Yeah.
They don't understand, like, oh, I don't know when the bus is coming, I don't know what time the bus is coming, all of these stuff. So this app now will basically give them an experience so that they know when the bus is coming every time. It basically have all of the bus them on a map showing them, oh, your bus is 15 minutes away or your bus is 5 minutes away. It probably can give them a notification, say your bus is arriving in 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute.
Yeah.
And basically taking them on a journey as to when this bus arrives. So in their mind, they don't have to worry, so to speak. So you're getting rid of that pain point for them to be worrying about, am I going to miss that bus? Am I going to miss that bus? The information is basically on their phone when the bus arrives, and it has to be connected to the bus. So the bus would have a tracker on it, and you know exactly where the bus is, when it is, and what time it's gonna reach. If it's delayed, you know it's delayed, and all of that. So that is the
Yeah.
experience that basically the app is giving them. Or is that the interface? Because
Okay. So that
this
would
is
be that.
the I think this is what
Go ahead.
persons are trying to understand. What is the experience more so the interface? Because I know the interface is really, for instance, a show about the reel. The interface is really what we're seeing there. Now, if you're talking about the experience, is how you interact with the app. Basically, is the experience. It's not the graphics
Okay.
that is on the screen and stuff like that. The experience is more the interaction with the app when you press
Yeah.
what button, what it does, and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. All right. So all right. Look on it this way. So before I continue, I should say that the avatar that you spoke about in our field, we call it user personas. Um, and what we do is we create like a journey map of what we expect our users to um, or as in the flow our users would take in order to um, to reach their goal, right? Their end goal. So, for example, you want to take a bus. We pretty much map out from you taking the phone out of your pocket to you getting onto that bus. So we create a user journey. So our user in this case, the user journey is user takes out the phone, touches an icon, the icon opens up the app, either you log in or you automatically had already logged in, and it shows you the bus routes. You put in your location and you say where you want to go, and then it will then communicate how is it, which buses are the closest to you. And then from there, once your bus gets there, you get a notification your bus is 5 minutes away or your bus is there. You are now on the bus. Once you are on the bus, as you pointed out, you could have like a GPS locator, and that could communicate with the phone itself and say you are currently on the bus. You see me? So that is the user flow. So from that perspective, you take into consideration how your user experience a specific interaction with the product. The user interface is, you punching in your login, you punching in um, your your location, and then selecting next and all of that. The buttons. That's pretty much the user interface. The call to actions, we call them.
Okay. So now we have a clear understand now. As I speak about design thinking and design language. Now a lot of persons don't necessarily design with research. They're just going into design, or we're creating this design. And oftentimes persons sometimes are not willing to spend the money for the person to actually do the research. And when you can do more research on a design, oftentimes out on something there, you can come up with a better design based on the research. So now you understand what the persona that you're trying to attract, or the avatar that you're trying to reach, want to hear, what the avatar want to see, because of the research that you've done. Now a man don't have to tell
Yeah,
you say, but it's just a business card, or it's
yeah.
just a logo, and you're like, well,
It's not
it's
just a
not
logo.
just a logo, and it's not
Yeah, it
just a
represents your
business
brand.
card. It's a design, and this design can take me anywhere from 24 hours to 5 days, just doing research to understand what the market needs, what are the right funds to use to attract, to basically get a certain vibes from the person, what are the right colors to use, you know what I mean, all these things. And persons don't necessarily understand, like layman, they just say, oh, it's a little quick design, so I can get 10 US, 50 US for a design. And then when them get, so to speak, a $50 design, where they just throw something together which is not ideal, But sometimes
Yeah.
you have to do that, give them that experience so them understand. So, oh, but you only try to pay $50. So that is the
Yeah.
reason why you get a $50 design. There's no thought into it. You just throw some color on one piece of paper and fling your word point and then that's it. But no, when you're
Yeah. All
talking
right.
about trying to do a proper design where you talk about
Mm-hmm.
research, understand what the market wants, understand what's going on, that cannot be a $50 design. It just
Yeah.
can't be.
That, absolutely right. And I like to give this example of research because it is very important. Um, so when the when the iPod came out, Apple pretty much cornered the market as it relates to having music on a digital platform. And I'm not sure if you remember, but do you remember Microsoft Zune?
Yeah, and based
Yeah,
on research, Apple wasn't even the first, what I call it
yeah,
now,
that is also true.
mobile music device. Apple
Mobile music,
marketing was the best.
yeah, that's also very true. But what Microsoft did for Microsoft Zune is they answered back to the iPod as opposed to doing the research, and they ended up failing totally and losing over $200 million in 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 creating a product as well as marketing and such. The product failed in a very short space of time, and it's mainly because they were responding to our product as opposed to understanding what their users needed at the time. Because right now iPods still are very strong, but I'm sure you don't know anybody with a Zune. So
Nah, nah, nah. That don't even
exactly. So
exist in the world of basically mobile music communicator. The next thing that
exactly.
I remember what Apple did is that back then I think the marketing, because I think a company came out probably a couple of months well before Apple with a mobile device that can play music. But the difference was in the marketing. What Apple did, Apple said, well, you have 1,000 songs in your pocket. That is so
Yeah,
easy for a person to understand as opposed to you say, we give you a device with 10 gigs. Nobody understand what 10 gigs
yeah,
translate into when it comes to music. But if a person
yeah,
say you have
and
1,000 music in your pocket, you're like, what? A CD only have 7 or 12 music. So now I can have
exactly.
20 CD or 100 CD in my pocket. Boom.
Yeah,
The
exactly. Yeah.
communication wins. So,
Yeah.
Apple is always good on that. And do you consider that a user experience, that type of communication? Just saying that.
Yes. Yeah. So user experience is not just the how you navigate, but how you communicate with your customers. So it's not about how you navigate in a space, whether it be a digital space or a physical space. It's also how you communicate with your customers. So you're right. It's very close to marketing in the sense that um, you have very similar um, similar ways of communicating with your users or people. But user experience is a little bit more direct because we understand who is it that we are creating this product for. We do more than just um, advertise. We empathize. So we understand. We are right there with you. So if you fail, we fail.
Okay, okay. No,
Yeah.
no, me I get a clearer sense and a clearer understanding, and I hope that the persons who are listening or the persons who will listen in the future will understand what is
Mm-hmm.
the difference between, so to speak, a user interface and
You,
so to
you,
speak,
use
um,
user experience.
a marketing campaign, because they tend to almost fall in similar ways, but the marketers sometimes are very, what I call now, they're very direct. They're just trying to push the product on you, while the
All right.
user UI, the UX is more,
Mm-hmm.
from my understanding of what you're saying, is more, it's more there to help the user understand what's going on.
Yeah. So the pretty much the user is the one who creates the product. So even though we are we design, whether it be a designer or a developer, um, creates the product, design the product, the user is the one that dictates how it works. So in the case, and I should also point this out, Even though I'm a digital product designer, it's a very multidisciplined field. So even though I design, um, the design is also passed over to like a developer, or someone who goes ahead and tests, and a user flow, product, what you call them, product owners. So it's a very multidisciplined um, field. Uh, what was I gonna say now? So it's not just dependent on me, because I can design out an entire design of like, say, in the same, yeah, the JUTC app. But if I don't have a developer, if I don't have a product owner, that design will not reach anywhere, because it's just a design, right? So it's more it's very much dependent on a good team of people.
All right, cool. So now that you
Hmm.
mentioned that, I know that Adobe has a suite of apps which facilitate UI UX design down
Yeah.
to basically testing. So you can put
Yes.
your design in it and basically create the animation aspect of it, and the app work, so to speak, or it should work on a phone.
Yeah.
As a designer, is that the development part? That is what you call it,
Not exactly,
development.
no. So no, that is more so from the prototyping aspect. So after we go ahead and do the research and understand what our users want, we create our designs, and then we prototype it. So we create the interactions that the users would expect to see. If it is a case where they want a menu in the application, do we put it at the bottom left hand corner, or bottom right hand corner, or the top left hand corner? That kind of thing. So when we design the app, um, we now put this design in whoever it is using it, in their hands, and say, how is it that you would want to interact with a menu? um, and then you show them different options, and then they will choose the best option, and that best option is what the design team would go ahead with, and say, all right, fine, this is how we move forward, because our users are saying this is what is right, this is how we should approach it. We can't just say, all right, fine, this is the trend that is happening, so let we follow this trend. um, so from that perspective, you have to allow your users to take first priority in terms of how you go ahead and design. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. So I'm gonna say, oh, this just bring a whole heap of clarity as it relates. Again, when it comes to design and user interface and stuff like that, Apple is always a good place to go. So,
Yeah.
I don't know if you have realized that Apple just released iOS 14 and
Hmm.
basically just introduced widgets. We have wanted
Hmm.
widgets forever, but Apple
Yeah.
just decided to send it into them ecosystem now. How do you look at Apple, so to speak, as a UI UX designer? How Apple operates as it relates to their UX and UI design, and sometimes I would say hold off on a lot of the type of interaction and the type of interface that they give to their user until specific time. It's almost like they're waiting until they get some other things right before they
Yeah.
give you this experience, so that this experience ties into another experience, so to speak. How do you
Yeah.
think about it as it relates to how Apple 10 navigate it, as opposed to how Android navigate it? Android have you in all these things from Android exists, but a lot of them
Hmm.
don't necessarily work the best, so to speak. So Apple wait until they get everything right to put it out, and Android just try the stuff. So that's how I see it.
Yeah. So, and I do agree with you 100% as it relates to that, because most people look on the new iOS as a ripoff of Android, but I believe it's much more than that. As you rightly pointed out, Apple wants to do it right, and because they have the skill set to introduce widgets a long time ago. But it's just that they want to do it right. I think one of the reasons as well why they had approached the widgets is because the last WWDC, not this year, but the previous year, they pointed out that the iPad is now a computer. You can now use the iPad as a computer, and introducing these computer-like or these experiences to facilitate a better user experience is pretty much, I guess, how they approached. Well, I don't know how to explain it well, but long and short of things is Apple takes their time to get the design right. They, as you pointed out, have their own ecosystem. So they don't look on how other people approach things, because at the end of the day, it's their world. And this world is, it works. So, introducing a new experience is new. It's brand new. They don't look on it as, Android had it, because Android has done it, but have they done it right? And I will always side with Apple, because I'm an Apple fanboy, and I love the simplicity of things. However, once a design is done right, and right means through good user research, through good communication, like there's no complaints. I'll always say this: good design is invisible, which means that if you interact with a design without complaining about it, that's excellent design. Once you start saying, why this never got so, why you don't do this way, that's how you know that there that's some sort of bad design. But good design is pretty much invisible. You interact with a product or a service, and it's seamless.
Yeah, as I said that, like, I can tell you say some of the government websites them, boy, I mean, I tell you, them need help. Them need
Yeah.
UI, UX, UE, UP. Them need all type of U where you can think about to get the experience right. Okay, you go up on a website and you have to basically try to figure out as to what to do to get this, what you are there to get it done. And
Yeah, man.
once you have to try to figure out on a website to get something done, the website basically lost you. You are
Exactly.
them lose you right there if you are trying to
And
figure it out.
yeah, I've been on I can't remember which one it was, but they had a quick links, and the quick links had 30 links in there. I'm like, how can a quick link have 30 options? Come on, that you're not looking on it from the people who want the information. I think they're just looking at it from, hey, I have this information, I did my job, I put this information, and there's your job now to find it.
Yeah, which makes no sense. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, you going to a website, going into an app is not to make it harder for you to get the information that you want. If you can
Yes,
make
for
it
sure.
easy on a website, on an app, or any platform that you're designing something for persons to interact with, if you can make it interaction, as I say, invisible, you
Mm-hmm.
win. That's a
Yeah,
great
you win.
design. You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
I believe that Apple does that with their product, from their Mac OS to their iOS to their iPad OS and their Watch OS. And again,
Yeah.
they have an ecosystem where make all of these things seamless and basically lock we in. You know what I mean? They just
Yeah.
lock we in with all of this experience. Even the other day, I was reasoning with a guy, and I was telling him that even though you consider the iPhone expensive, is why you consider iPhone expensive or any other Apple product expensive is because you're thinking about it as a single unit. You're not thinking about the ecosystem. You're not thinking
Mm-hmm.
about how it reduce the amount of time where you do something. You walk up to your computer, instead of you try to type in a password, your watch opens your computer.
Exactly.
That
Yeah.
saves you a lot of time. So you don't even have to
Yeah,
think
man.
about it. It just happens. You
It just
without any friction.
yeah, it
You know
just
what I mean?
works.
And all of these all of these experience that Apple is trying to create is the reason why Apple is charging a premium, because Apple
Yeah.
pride themselves in these experience that they're creating, and that experience has a certain value. You're talking about your press copy on your iPhone, you can paste it on your anyone
And
in
yeah,
your Apple devices, you can paste
anyone
it
in
on
the
your
devices, yeah.
laptop, you can paste it on that. You're talking about you're basically moving stuff from one, you're talking about airdrop, you're talking about share. All of these things are very very
Mm-hmm.
user centric, and that is the reason why Apple will always be one of the number one companies.
Yeah.
It's very hard to topple them because there's nobody else with an ecosystem.
Yeah. That is comparable to Apple.
Yeah, well, you have other tools. Right now, Amazon are try some things with them Echo and Rated, but we are talking about an entire system that
Mm-hmm.
works together seamlessly.
Yeah. And
Nobody else
another
have
thing
that.
that you remember Amazon Fire the phone? It came out strong, They came out completely different. But it died. It died a very quick death as well because again, they were responding to a market as opposed to creating a solution that, they don't look on their customers. Their customers are, I mean, granted, some of the designs that they implemented in that phone, made it very user friendly. And probably it wasn't for the time, but in I have an Amazon Alexa, and if I want something, I can just say, "Hey Alexa, order X," um, and it'll say, "Hey, it's in your cart." Um, Jump on whatever it is to confirm payment. But that ease of use is is I don't know. I look forward to things like that. I love technology because of things like that. I remember I was having a conversation with my wife yesterday. She was saying how she believed that robots going to take over the world. I'm like, robots only can take over the world if a person come um if a person programs it to take over the world. Robots can't think for themselves
Yeah, but
because at the end of the day, robots
I,
aren't empathetic.
I think she's kind of late. Robots has already taken over the world. We
Yeah, in
all
terms
have
of
iPhones, our phones. We
mm,
all have basically devices that we use religiously every day.
mm,
So robots have the world already. It's just how they're thinking about robots. They're thinking about what you're seeing, for instance, the movie with Will Smith, I Robot.
iRobot, yeah.
They're
Yeah,
thinking
she
about
pointed
those
that
stuff.
out
When they
as
say
well, yeah.
take over the world, they're thinking about that. But think about the amount of AI that exists right now. Think
Yeah,
about
so
the amount of phones that exist right now, whereas your data is just there and you're being tracked, and camera can follow you and all these stuff. So robots
yeah,
already have the world. It's just how you look at it.
but again, and I do agree because she did point out that as well. And I agree with her 100%. But um, as it relates to machine learning, we as humans have to be the one that creates this design language that will tell the software how to communicate with our users. So if it is a case where, she says she hates the Alexa, she says she hates it, because she thinks that, once you talk about a specific product and she jump on her computer, it pops up in her the ad pops up on her Amazon, like, do you want this? And that kind of machine learning, is it's sort of scary, but at the same time, it's necessary because, as also pointing out, that you have refrigerators right now that will communicate that you're out of eggs,
Yeah,
and do you want to purchase or the egg.
yeah. So
I look forward to things like that.
yeah, and it
Personally,
makes sense.
yeah,
It makes sense. The fridge
mm,
basically replenish itself. Instead of you,
yeah,
if you think about grocery, your fridge
mm,
basically deals with groceries. So your fridge basically say, all right, then we're out of milk. I just ordered 2 milk. We're out of eggs. I just ordered 2 eggs. We're out of orange juice, because all these places in the fridge basically have like a sensor that deal with the weight. So once the
yeah, exactly,
liquid basically reach a certain level, the fridge order the orange juice. So that
exactly,
alone,
yeah,
the orange juice show up at your house, you just put by the orange juice in your fridge. That alone is saving you so much time. You're not for going in a supermarket, going in a line, for go wait and interact with no one bag of people. Your fridge is
Mhm.
dealing with all of that. I believe that make
Yeah,
a
and
lot of sense.
I like that, but what I guess what scares most people is, it going ahead and ordering it as opposed to saying, "Hey Corey, would you like me to order?" I've noticed that eggs are out. Would you like me to order eggs? As opposed to you showing up at your house and you see a crate of egg
Yeah, but
at your
you
doorstep.
once you're yeah, that is how it starts. It starts with you, the AI asking you to order eggs. We have to start like
Hmm.
that. You have to start persons from the basics. But after probably like the next 10 years or so, it don't need for ask you for order eggs. You need eggs.
Yeah,
That's the
it's true.
reason
It's
why you
true.
always put eggs in your fridge. So you need
That's
it. So
true.
instead of it create a friction to ask you a question if you want to order eggs, the fridge just basically order eggs. So you
Yeah,
don't have
I
to
get
think about eggs. That is one less thing that you have to think about.
one last thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
we run out of eggs. No, the fridge probably
and I guess
you probably say, oh, we run out of eggs, and the fridge is saying, no, we don't run out of eggs. The eggs is basically on its way, and the fridge is tracking
honestly, yeah,
when the eggs is come, how far the eggs are away. So the
exactly,
fridge probably has said to you,
exactly.
so,
Yeah,
oh,
man.
the eggs is 3 minutes away.
Hmm. That is cool. That is cool. I look forward to things like that because I love tech. I love technology, and
I I believe that the persons who are afraid of technology on certain level is based on understanding. So
yeah,
once you understand how technology works and you understand that technology moves the world forward, it don't hold the world back. It's people who hold the world back. You get a sense of that. You don't need to be afraid of these things. You need to
yeah. But
embrace these things.
at the same time, just like how you have good technology, you also have bad technology. You have people who will write a program to steal certain information, and just like how you have technology that is so good that it can just order an egg for you. It also can be so good that it can send your password to somebody and allow them to get into your house just like that. So so it
Yeah,
really
but
is,
there is always a good and a bad to everything. You know what I
hmm
mean? It's data. Is data moving millions and millions of miles per hour, and it 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 is really how it's used. So
yeah.
the technology is not good or bad. The
hmm
technology is good or bad when a person who is good or bad use it.
And that's what I was pointing out. It's not the technology that you should be afraid of, it's the people that you should be afraid of.
Yes,
Because
I agree.
robots can't move unless the person says move.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, the people them we need to worry about then. We need to stop worry
Exactly,
about
yeah.
technology, embrace technology, and try and get
Embrace
rid of or try and limit the persons who have bad
limit, yeah.
intention using the technology, so to speak. Because the technology is
Exactly,
here to
yeah.
help us, Right now,
Yeah,
I am
because
sitting around my. Think about this. I am sitting around my computer with my screens in front of me. I am communicating with you through Zoom. So we are having a Zoom conversation. That Zoom conversation is being captured and put into a program on the computer, which is now sending it out to Instagram.
yeah, exactly.
All of this is basically technology. As a matter of fact, this, since COVID-19, has become very important because we now have to basically be doing this distant communication.
Hmm.
5 months ago, we'd probably be sitting down in a room with lights in front of us and having this conversation. Me would have to drive go here, you would have to drive go here. We are use gas, we are use all these things where we don't necessarily have to use. Because of COVID, this now becomes very important that person understands, say, oh, we still need to connect, we still need to communicate, people still need to get information, things still need to happen,
Yeah,
and we are doing this virtually. Mine, it could
yeah,
have been done before
it could have
COVID
been.
happened, But COVID just expedite the process and make person understand the importance of communicating online. Now, a person call me about a meeting. I'm like, let's meet on Zoom. It saves me
Hmm.
time, it saves you time. And when we meet on Zoom, we can be very direct with what we are getting done and finish the meeting
Yeah,
in 20 minutes. We don't have to be there
exactly.
trying
Yeah,
to do small talk and all of that. I'm here to
yeah,
show you a design, show you XYZ, I show you it. All right, thank you, sir. Until next time. Boom, we're
yeah,
out.
man. Yep, just like that. And I remember seeing a meme that says something along the line of the chief technology officer. isn't the one that influenced the forward movement of technology in some of these Jamaican companies. It's COVID that did that, right? I I give COVID a thumbs up for that one.
Yeah, for
That's the
me,
only thumbs
COVID
up.
is COVID is the best thing that happened in 2019, 2020 for me. With what I'm
I,
doing.
I mean, yeah, and that's also very true because I have the opportunity now to do some online courses that I've always wanted to do. I'm finishing up a human computer interactive computer human computer interaction course right now. And man, I'm not gonna lie, the amount of knowledge I get from that alone is allowing me to now catapult into what I really want to do, my genuine passion, which is focus on people with disabilities, um, and it's something that we sort of overlook sometimes, where you know something as simple as interacting with an ATM. How is it that a blind person can interact with a touchscreen device?
Yes, yeah.
Them kind of things. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. No,
people,
no braille, nothing like that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The design of the ATM isn't empathetic for people who are blind, and then you've used the ATM, you've seen that little hole, the what do you call it, the auxiliary hole.
Yeah, where you can plug in an earphone. How
Yeah,
would you find it?
how are you gonna find that? Exactly. So from that perspective,
But I've
I
been to
want to.
ATM that speaks to you too, so that's one
Yeah,
way.
that's also true, but you have to also take into consideration that you don't want the ATM to be screaming that you have $2 million in your account.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
so
yeah.
so so how is it that these people who we interact with daily, who are a part of our society, how is it that we can make technology inclusive to them? That is pretty much where my passion really lays.
Okay, so you,
Mhm.
as I say, you're passionate about basically
Accessibility
getting,
design, pretty much.
yeah,
Yeah.
getting that level. But as I say, one of the reason why I think sometimes why persons or why the industry or the companies don't focus too much on persons with disability, and I think it have to do with the number factor. You know what I mean? When they're making their technology, when they're making their stuff, they're more concerned with how many persons this is gonna basically affect. So when them think about them,
You,
say, oh, all right, then how many Jamaicans are blind?
you,
Say
you know what's funny
500.
about that? You know what's funny about that? What you just said? You said the same number of people who banks offer credit card to is the same amount, the same number of people who are currently disabled.
Oh, okay, okay.
so so
Never
and
know that.
that's yeah, and it's something that thankfully I'm privy to because I work in the finance industry. But you know, that same number of people are the same number of people who are disabled. So if you can say, all right, fine, I don't want to give the number, but let's call it like say 50 people. 50 people need a credit card. This same 50 people are the same 50 are not the same, but same number people who are blind, are deaf, or dumb. So
Okay, okay.
if I am spending the energy to communicate to this 50 people, why can't I do the same for the other 50?
And again, as I say, I don't know the justification, but
Mm-hmm.
it's weird. It's weird how they go about doing it and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
it's a weird scenario. But as I say, we could talk about design and talk about these things for years, as far as I
Yeah.
see it. You know what I mean? And I'm glad I get you on the program to basically speak to you about, you know what I mean, UX and UI and design thinking,
Mm-hmm.
and how to implement these things to make things easier for your user, so to speak, which
Yeah.
is the whole essence of creating a website and all of that. The website is there to help the user. It's not there to
Yeah.
confuse the user. That's not the purpose of a
Exactly.
website. The purpose of a website is to make sure that when the person go on it, it is very easy for them to use. It's very easy for them to find what they want. They can, you know, I mean, even if the website full of information, it needs to be very easy for the person to locate the information. They don't go on the
Yeah.
website and like, so what do I do next? Bad
Yeah.
website.
At the end
They
of
go on
the,
a
at the end
website
of
and
the day,
like,
it has to be
oh,
intuitive.
this is what I do. This is what I do. Good website, good app,
Yeah.
and it's just a system. And I'm glad that we could, you know, basically impart this information and this knowledge so persons understand the different. A person who's coming up who probably would be have some interest in UI UX design, understand that the purpose for design is to help move the conversation forward or help your user basically get to their goal. It's basically to help the user get to their goal. I
Get to
want to
the
buy a
end goal.
pizza.
Yeah.
I go in the app. I press one button. It show me the toppings. I press the next button. It buy. It I get deliver. People them come on my house. I pay them with my credit card. Boom, me have my pizza. It's not about me
Exactly.
go for one thing. I try to figure out how to move around it and all these things. And I'm glad say we get to talk about it so we can ash it out, so to speak, and get persons to understand what it is. We technically are run out of time. We already gone 57 minutes, and Instagram only allow you like 1 hour for basically do the show. And this is probably a conversation that needs a part 2. So maybe sometime in the future I'll be like, let me dig deeper into it, because I remember when you started you were saying you're gonna explain each of them individually. We kinda, you know, talk about some of them in some part. But as I say, I like when this is more a conversation and it's not like you're just talking about a specific thing towards the audience. And I believe that the conversation that we had kind of showcased a whole heap of different type of information, machine learning, you know, I mean, AI, technology overall. So as I said, brother, respect, much respect to come on the show and give me a strength. And I really appreciate it. As I say, right now, I normally create even a next thing, a outro for the show, and because I was so embroiled in the conversation, I normally create it while the show is happening. I never even remember to create the outro, so I'm gonna actually use the same outro from last week, because I normally have maybe I can just use one that I used previously, you know, so it don't seem like the last one. But as I said, much respect to come on the show, bro. Much respect. I really appreciate, you know what I mean, you coming on the show and giving me a strength to just, you know, just be here. And never run the outro before Instagram kick me off, because Instagram will kick me off in like a minute or so. So when we run the outro, and then we probably can have a conversation afterwards.
Alright, cool.
Yeah, you know, we are run the outro. Be yourself. Everyone is already taken. Oscar Wilde. What the man basically say is that you need to just be you. Why you try to be other people? Them already taken. Just be yourself. Just be you, so to speak. You know what I mean? And that was another episode of Creative Always